6 years ago, I made an Elder Scroll. It was a commission, which means I sold it, and I didn't get one of my own. However, before I sold it, I made a mold, and I made a copy of it. Yes, here we go. Huh? Oh, right, it's right here. There we go. This is gonna be fantastic, and I'm gonna try something new. Let's head to the bench. Ever since my buddy Harrison over at Volpin Props made his own Elder Scroll using gold leaf, I have been jonesing for the opportunity to try that technique out myself, which is perfect because today's sponsor for this video is Skillshare, and they have a bunch of classes on using gold leaf. So I loaded it up and learned how to use gold leaf in your artwork from Sandra Bowers. Short class, covered all the basics. Most of what she covered was for adding gold leaf to like a flat piece of artwork. This is obviously three-dimensional. So I have a good foundation to get started, and I'm probably gonna learn an awful lot along the way, and I'll share that with you. Got all my materials, so let's dive right in. For the most part, you really just need your adhesive and the gold leaf, plus some tools and the thing you're working on. I went to the local craft store and bought whatever I could find. There weren't a lot of options. This was the only adhesive I could find. It's called gilding adhesive, but this stuff can also be called adhesive size. Bunch of options out there. We'll link to some good ones down below. This is the foil, or gold leaf. It's not real gold, or at least I don't think it is, but it's crazy thin. There are 25 sheets. This costs about 10 bucks, so it's not too pricey, but these are really, really bonkers thin. I'll show you. This is a single sheet of gold leaf. This is a single sheet of delicate gold leaf, and we're gonna use it to cover our entire Elder Scroll. One thing I definitely need to do before trying to put any sort of covering on here is clean all the dust off. This has been sitting on a shelf for years, and it's super dusty. The other thing I want to do is use some of this grease and wax remover. I'm going to be handling this a lot, and I'll probably wear rubber gloves, although in the class I watched, it was recommended wearing cotton gloves. I just don't have any of those. But I'm going to be getting grease and stuff all over this thing, or there probably already is. So I'm going to use this to make sure the surface is perfectly clean and prepped for the adhesive. Take a little remover and just wipe everything down. I especially want to get down into the crevices where dust and stuff accumulates. I'll give everything a rub down, and then it's time for glue. So here's the general idea. We've got our adhesive, and I'm going to apply it with a brush. And I'm just going to brush on a really thin layer wherever I want that gold leaf to end up. I found that you want to kind of work in small-ish areas. This stuff takes about usually about 10 minutes to dry. It's a contact adhesive. You brush your contact adhesive on here. Now, you don't need any adhesive on the foil. It will stick, no problem. But you do want a nice thin layer, and then you want to let it dry. The stuff I just brushed on there is drying, and while it's drying, I'm gonna brush some on this piece so that I can work on these two parts together. While one of them is drying, I can be applying the gold leaf, and then I can brush on a new piece. And while that's drying, apply gold leaf to the part I'm brushing right now. I'll just try and keep that cycle going. I don't want to have any downtime where I'm waiting for this to dry with nothing to do. In this case, I'm only brushing it on this cone on the tip here. I don't want any on this part because trying to get a piece of foil down in there with contact adhesive on both sides is really tricky. I'll show you more later. I was tinkering with this yesterday and kind of figured out all the things not to do. I'm using a crummy old paintbrush to apply my adhesive, but I also have a cup with just soapy water in it so that when I'm not using the brush, I can wash it off. This is gonna get thrown out probably at the end of this project anyway, but at least it'll last the whole project. Our adhesive is mostly dry. It's been about 5 minutes. The sort of milky color has gone away and it's got this nice shine, so I think we're ready to go. To manipulate the foil, I've been using plastic tweezers, more gentle than metal tweezers. And then you take a significant portion and you just sort of lay it down over your adhesive and it will stick right away. And it may turn into a crumpled foil mess, Sometimes that happens. That's just kind of how it is. It will want to stick right away. It will tear, and you may have to do everything in a couple of passes, but that's kind of how it is. The way I've been working is to just tamp it down a little bit, try and get it down into details if I can. Trying not to scrunch it up too much, and definitely trying not to get it to fold over on itself if I can. This foil can be so unruly. What I've been doing is using a 1, 2, 3 block to weigh a portion of it down, and then trying to tear off a pretty big sized chunk with my tweezers, but sometimes it just rips however it wants. But there we go, we got a pretty good piece. And then this is going to overlap. See how it just wants to stick? This will overlap the pieces that are already there. Stick, there we go. And what I found is you're gonna waste a lot of foil. That's just kind of how it is. The parts that don't touch the glue should fall away like that. We're gonna scrub this down a little bit with that brush, but I'm gonna lay down a couple more pieces first. You wanna be super careful when you're laying this down and overlap the pieces a lot. If you tear it, if you leave just like, here I'll show you. If you put just the thinnest gap, like right there, between the two, there's only a little bit of adhesive showing there, and even though you might put another piece over that, it may not stick. So you wanna make sure you overlap these pieces as much as you can. You can, of course, go back and fix those later by adding more adhesive on top of it. That's a big piece of foil. Now that I've covered all the adhesive with foil, I can start pressing it into the surface, and I just have a paintbrush for this. I'm trying to just drive it down into the surface, and you can see how there's those lines in the model there that are now popping out and looking really cool. So yeah, right now I'm really just trying to make sure every square millimeter that I put down is stuck down. I also have this tray. This is for collecting and sorting nuts and bolts, and it's got a little spout here. All the shedding, the foil shedding, falls in there, and if there are big useful pieces, I can retrieve them. This also hopefully keeps this gold flake from getting all over my shop, but spoiler, it's already all over my shop. A lot of the loose flakes are falling off as I do this, but once I'm feeling pretty good about how secure all this stuff is, I can start brushing some of the loose stuff away. And it does have to like tear, so along the edges between pieces, you may still see kind of a line there, but just keep brushing at it and most of that flake should get pushed away. What we end up with is just the shiniest, most gold looking thing ever. That is so shiny. I love it. It's pretty much that process over and over again with some nuances there. Now that that's mostly cleaned up, I can brush on more adhesive. So I'll grab my brush and I'm going to overlap this edge so that the next layer of foil will bridge the gap between these two. And just like before, I'm going to add a little bit in just the area I want to work on. And I also try and have nice sharp edges like that as opposed to like brushed edges that are kind of feathered. So a nice smooth edge. And I'm also gonna save this part for later. So I'm only brushing it up to the edge on the bottom there, while I'm applying adhesive to the next part. I can go look at the part I just did and see if I missed anything. It may be difficult to see, but there's a little crack in the foil right there, and I have a smaller brush, so I'm gonna put a little bit of adhesive on that spot. And it doesn't hurt to put on more than you think you need to well overlap that gap, and put a big old hunk of foil over it. While our other piece is drying, now I can add the gold leaf to this part. Now going around complex curves like this can cause the foil to tear. And sometimes it just happens and you gotta kind of deal with it. Maybe other people with a lot more experience with gold leaf can do forms like this without having to go back and fix pieces. But I am not at that skill level yet, but that's okay. I will have lots of practice on this particular project. Remember too, there's only adhesive on this spike part, so I can mash this in there without fear of it sticking to the part down here. That way I can get it down and in that crevice right there. Brush away all the extra flakes. It seems like the sort of friction or stickiness of a rubber glove helps pick up some of those tiny bits and get a nice clean finish. I've also found that like little crevices like in here, you can get foil to bunch up. And I've got this silicone sculpting tool, which is just grabby enough to like pick up a big clump of that foil and pull it out of there. Why did I do that? I just blew on that, sending foil everywhere. So now that this part has the foil on it, I will add glue to this part. And I'm not going to add it over here on this side, just this part, because this 90-degree angle in there is going to be really tricky to get a piece of foil in there without it tearing. Same thing with up here. And I found that this sort of workflow where you are really careful about the placement of your glue is going to make a huge difference on how frustrating your gold leafing project is. But you'll learn. Like once you do a couple parts with this, you'll figure out where to put glue and where not to put glue. That one's all set up, so we'll let that dry, and this one is now dry and I can add foil to it. Actually, I need another piece of foil. Oh, careful. And then hopefully I can pull out this one sheet. Whoop, whoop. There it goes. And then I can close this up so that no wind takes it away. It's pretty much gonna be that, back and forth on these 2 or 3 pieces for the foreseeable future. So lots of patience, maybe some good music. I will say this is an extremely tedious process, but the results are just awesome. It's gold. It looks like real gold, because it is, or brass or whatever this is. It looks legit. So worth it. These are some of the spots that just need a little touch up. So I'll just put a little piece in there. I'm already trying to think about other projects I could use gold leaf on. Actually, you probably have some really good ideas. If you can think of another prop project where gold leaf would be like the best way to finish it, let me know. I love hearing project ideas like that. Leave a comment down in the comment section. So shiny. This took an awful long time, but the results are worth it. And it's not perfect either. We'll have to touch some stuff up, but we can hide our crimes later. The next thing I want to do, the other part of our candy cane stripe here is got to be purple. So I'm going to hand paint that. And then I'm going to want to seal this. I do want to protect that. It may change the luster a little bit, but this is not the most durable finish. I tried out a couple of different purple paints, tried to mix my own, that kind of went sideways. I'm gonna go with this stuff here. It is an airbrush paint, but it covers really well and you can still brush it with paintbrush. Probably gonna have to do 2 passes to make sure I cover the gold leaf that's sort of sticking out there a little bit, but that's okay. It's already looking really nice. And you know, while I've got you here, it's a great time to, again, thank our sponsor, Skillshare. It's where I went to learn about how to do all the gold leafing. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes and categories like design or photography or crafts, lots of different crafts like our gold leaf here. If you'd like to get in on the fun, we've got a link for you. It's down in the description. It's skl.sh/punishedprops4. That premium membership gives you unlimited access to classes made by experts. And that way you can learn how to do all the stuff you want to do, unlock new opportunities, and do all that work that you love. Of course, I've watched a whole bunch of them, like on video editing and other skills that I'm interested in. I watched Using Gold Leaf in Your Artwork by Sandra Bowers to complete this project. And there are many, many more in the list I want to watch for future projects to help up my prop making game. Skillshare is more affordable than other learning platforms out there. The annual subscription costs you less than $10 a month. And even better, if you use our link, you can try it out for free for 2 months. Of course, that link again is skl.sh/punishedprops4. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring our video. And of course, thank you so much for providing such a wonderful resource to creative types like me. Here we are after 2 brushed on layers of that purple, and I think it looks great. That dark purple is very regal, very kingly. And I want to seal this, protect the paint job, but also this gold leaf is fairly fragile, so I want to protect it. And I'm going with a gloss varnish, but not just on a whim. We did do some tests on a scrap piece here, just to make sure that the varnish wasn't going to react weird with the gold leaf and to make sure it would still look nice and shiny. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to spray on a couple of light layers of this varnish to make sure our Elder Scroll stays nice and protected. While my parts are drying with all that varnish, it's time to do the actual scroll of the Elder Scroll. I've got the text over here. Don't worry, it's not the real text. No one's gonna go blind here. I reproduced this myself. I found a Daedric font online somewhere, and I used my own text. In fact, this is actually the Star Wars crawl text from the beginning of A New Hope. I'm just taping this down to a sheet of plastic here so I can see through it, or more appropriately, shine light through it. And if you don't have a giant sheet, you could just do this by taping it to a window so that you can let light shine through. With that down, I can cover it in my fabric, and this is just some linen that I had lying around that kind of looks the part. And now we can't see the text yet, but we will soon. Bright light. And there we go. That's a perfect use. I might end up putting this against the window, but you can see how we can see through there and just trace our pattern. For this work, I'm using fabric markers, and this one's a gray, this one's black, and it seemed like it was just too dark. Eventually we will weather this in some way, so I want it to look not super clean. This thing is ancient. It's been around a while. It's gonna be dirty. I actually flipped over one of our studio lights so that I could use it as a platform to light this up, and that seems to be working really well. There's all of our Elder Scroll text, but this looks far too new. So I've got a water bottle with just some brown acrylic paint and mostly water, so I can spray this down and give it a little bit of weathering and texturing. I have some black paint too, so I can darken this a little bit and have a couple different tones in there. But yeah, it's gonna kind of randomly spray it down and get dribbles on it and make it look all old. Just using a rotary cutter here to cut a sort of jagged edge on this. That frayed edge, I want it to stay frayed, but only a little bit, so I'm gonna glue the edges down with this stuff. The scroll is ready to go to install it in our case here. I have this roller shade. One of those blinds you can pull down and let go and it'll stay there, and then when you give it a tug, it zips back up your window. We're gonna use that same mechanism, this thing right here, in there so that we can retract our scroll. I'm gonna have to modify this though, just a little bit. Inside of here, it looks like it's just a cardboard tube, and I will need to cut it, but I'm gonna get rid of this first. Let's see if it wants to. Oh, look at that, comes right off. save this for some future project. I'm sure I'll need it. This part will get installed. In fact, I already have a hole drilled in here. So that's gonna go in. That comes out there. I need to make sure I have room for that mechanism, so it's gonna be kind of there, but it needs to be a little bit shorter so that I can make room for all of that. So let's go about right there. There you go, it's just a cardboard tube. So I guess I need to extract this and install it in there. I'm starting to think maybe I should have shortened the other end. Okay, cool, we got a big old spring in there. So this has to be secure, and then when it twists, it tensions it. That'll go in there. I checked this is the right length, so I can seal this up. I'm just gonna use duct tape, really, really strong duct tape, and I have a hunch this will be more than enough to keep this whole thing together. And then this thing will, the spring still grabs on, so that's still working, which is great. Not that I was worried, but I do have a habit of breaking the things I try to modify. There's our mechanism. We can attach our scroll to it. Attaching this to that is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I have a 3-step plan. I'm going to start by super gluing it to kind of hold it in place right along this edge here. And on you go. Careful not to glue myself down to the Elder Scroll. And then I can kick it off with a little bit of accelerant. And that's really just to hold it in place while I use staples. So this will provide a mechanical connection, hopefully. Kind of worked. That's a lot better. The third and final step is more of this duct tape just over that edge to make sure things aren't gonna start to peel up, I hope. That feels nice and secure. Perfect, because we're gonna pull it out of there. I don't want the whole thing coming right out. All right. Trying to come up with a way to hold this end. This end is already taken care of, but this end needs to be held in place and it can't spin. The hole that I need to make a little plug for is very irregular, and I was trying to figure out a way to trace that onto a material. And I grabbed some oil paints because they don't dry right away, and I'm gonna brush that on this lip and then stamp it on this piece of plastic to leave a mark. Yeah, that kind of worked. This thing doesn't need to be pretty, and if it's a little loose, I can overcome that. Get rid of that paint. I'll go cut that out on the bandsaw. And let's cross our fingers, sports fans. Oh, look at that. Fits great. The next thing I need to do is drill a couple of holes for this slot. Oh, nice and snug. Beep, beep. Oh, it didn't do it. Wait. Yeah. Okay. That can go on there. That's just a pressure fit. No need to glue it. And then the trick is going to be lining up the hole, then this odd-shaped hole. Oh, I can see it. There it is. That's in there. I'm just holding it in. Like that. And then, so I'll want to put a little more tension on the spring before I attach everything so it has enough gusto to chuck it back in there. So I'll do that, get it all tensioned, and then I think I can glue this in. I'm going to do a 2-part glue up on this, super glue to kind of hold it, and then a 5-minute epoxy for some of the wider gaps in my, my cut there. All right, I'm just going to give that 5 minutes to cure. That looks like it's curing. I'm going to set this on my silicone pad here so it doesn't stick forever, and take the opportunity to glue this part on. Now there's quite a gap there, but we have some of this stuff, Plumbers epoxy, Putty. So it's a 2-part putty. we can mash it together and then fill in both the gap between here and glue the two parts together. There's the two colors in there, so you just want to mash it together until it's all one color again. Really want to mash that in there so that it bonds. The inside was sanded. I must have done that a long time ago. I have no memory of that. But good job, past Bill. No turning back now. That is fabulous. A little bit of squeeze out. I can just trowel back into the gap, filling it in. If it's sticking, I have some isopropyl alcohol here, so I can wet the end of my tool, and it will not stick to the epoxy, which is great. Our Plumbers epoxy is gray, obviously the wrong color, so I just have a little bit of gold paint here, so I can go in and cover that up so it matches. We'll weather that too, so it'll look all nice and blended in, but at least we won't have that bright gray sneaking out of our paint job. And then anywhere else on here where the gold leaf has rubbed off, I got this little paint pen, so I can do a couple of little touch-ups. So there, that hard edge sort of worn off, I can just go, oh, look at that. Nice and touched up. You didn't see anything. Both sides are installed on our scroll here. And it's time to put the gems in. These are just from the craft store. When I designed this thing years ago, I bought a ton of these, so I had enough. These are going in their own little homes on the scroll case. I'm just gonna use super glue for that. Round and round we go. These are the tiny gems, living their tiny life. Getting super glued to the scroll. This is the last one. It would be a super bummer if I goofed it up now. That looks awesome. Oh, yeah. All our gems are in the correct spot. Time for my favorite part, weathering. I've got some oil paints. These happen to be water mixable oil paints. You can thin them with water if you want. I'm just gonna go straight on with the paint. I've just got a dark brown here. I'm gonna cover it and wipe it off. And it should look really cool. Just driving it down into all the details there. All the spots that would accumulate centuries of gross dirt and stuff. And then just wipe it off, leaving a lot down in those crevices. This is really warming up that gold, and I think that looks really cool. Oh yeah, that looks really awesome. I can wipe off as much as I think I want. I can always go back and add more if I need to, but that looks nice. That's really, really warming up that finish compared to what we had before. I like that a lot. I'm gonna keep doing it. I gotta tell you, I am, again, super thankful for our sponsor, Skillshare, on this one. They are fantastic. I love using their website. I couldn't have figured out this project without them. And of course, if you want to get your 2 free months, you can go to skl.sh/punishedprops4, link down below. Also down below, I'll have links to all the materials that I used on this project. So if you're building your own Elder Scroll or curious and want to try some of these techniques yourself, you can go check those out. They're all Amazon affiliate links. So we get a tiny cut of those, and we thank you for that. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't thank the members of our Extra Credit Club. If you'd like to jump in on the fun, we have a link down below. You could also just jump in on the membership here on YouTube or support us over on Patreon. That'll get you access to extra credit behind the scenes vlogs that we do every week. If you want to see what we're up to in between builds. We also do a build discussion on every single project, including this one. So that'll go up along with early access to all of our build videos. They go up on Friday. You get to see it before everyone else sees it on Monday. So thanks so much for the support. You guys are fantastic. There's a link down below. If you're a newcomer, you want to hit that subscribe button. And especially if you don't want to miss all our new videos, you can hit that notification bell. It's the best way to make sure you don't miss when one of our new videos comes out, and we put a new one out every single week. The weathering is pretty much done. I did a little more touching up with the gold paint. That looks pretty good. I will say though that the oil paint seemed to react kind of weird. I think with the varnish, because it's a little tacky. Everything's a little tacky. So maybe acrylic paints for a wash would have been a better choice, although this does look very good. Either way, this thing is gonna have to sit and dry for a few days before it's really ready for handling. That's okay. I only have one more thing to do, and that's to add this handle. I made this off camera. It's just 2 dowels and a couple pieces of plastic with holes drilled in them. And of course it got gold leafed just like everything else. Now let's attach it to our scroll. And hopefully when I pull this out, it'll stay open. Ta-da! So now I can remove my little handle here. And I'm just gonna super glue this to the dowel, I think, like that. Gonna run a bead down the length of this whole thing here and stick it down. Please stick. There we go. Finally, after 6 years, I finally have my own Elder Scroll. Okay. Ow. This is a single sheet of gold leaf. It's stuck to my hand. Hold on. Super snug. Nope. What? Come on.